Weird sciencey facts that boggle my mind. We know that the human brain is one of the most complex and fascinating biological things on this planet. Our brains can store and process massive amounts of information. Most people's, anyway. But just how much information our brains can store and process is difficult to quantify. However, a 2016 study from the Salk Institute would suggest that the human brain has the same memory storage capacity as the entire internet. And now, quick sidebar. I'm no neuroscientist, and although I have a psychology degree, I don't pretend to have any grasp of how the human brain actually functions. And I know better than to question the qualified authorities on topics that I don't have the knowledge, grasp, or understanding of to effectively question. So I'm not saying they're wrong, but what I am saying is that I work on cars and machines on a somewhat regular basis. And a solid 93% of the time I spend working on these things is looking for the tool I just had in my hand. And maybe I'm still running on dial-up, I don't know. All I'm saying is that I've got like 26 things in this house right now that I remember that I don't remember where they are. Maybe I'm using up all of my hard drive space remembering that I don't remember where things are. I don't know. Anyway, what were we talking about again? Right, the human brain in theory can store 1 petabyte of information. That's a quadrillion bytes, or the amount of information that was on the internet in 2016 when this study was conducted. Another side note that I just put together. When I started the research for this video, I thought the study was 4 years old because I was like, yeah, 2016, that was 4 years ago, right? Where has the time gone? Anyway, back to that video about how much memory we can remember. So part of the way that they calculated this was figuring out how the brain codes information. Most of us know that computers code information in zeros and ones. It is, in reality, a very long, inefficient way of storing and coding information. In a super layman's term, because I'm also not a computer scientist and computers are magic, binary code, the ones and zeros are basically a bunch of yes-no questions and answers. So a computer has to go through yes-no processes tens, hundreds, even thousands of times to process every single piece of information. Fortunately, it does those processes very fast, but it is a big, clunky, inefficient system. By contrast, the human brain can code information in 26 different ways. And that, in theory, makes it very efficient. And what's even cooler is it does all this very, very efficiently from an energy standpoint as well. The entire brain functions on roughly about 20 watts of power. In light bulb standards, that would be about enough power to get you some incandescent mood lighting for sexy time. That's it. For comparison, if we built one single computer that had the same memory and processing power as the human brain, we would need an entire nuclear power plant solely dedicated to running that one computer. In fact, information storage for computers and the internet is one of the biggest consumers of energy on our planet. And the crazy thing is, we don't know how a brain can manage to be 50 million times more energy efficient at completing the same tasks than a computer. A tiny factor to it could be that 80% of the time your brain is doing almost nothing. It's like your computer in sleep mode. And that conserves energy, but not 50 million times the energy. And even when it is using a good portion of its capacity, it's not increasing its energy usage that much. I mean, the reality is that if our brains needed anywhere near that amount of energy to process that kind of information, well, they wouldn't. We wouldn't exist. Because there's no all-you-can-eat buffet on the planet that would supply you with enough calories to equal a nuclear power plant to provide the brain with that kind of energy. Which means that biochemistry has found a way to operate exponentially more efficiently than electricity running through wires and circuits and semiconductors. And if we could unlock the secrets as to how it does that, then we may be able to artificially replicate it. It would revolutionize the world in ways we can't even fathom. Or at least I can't, because I can't even remember where I just put my screwdriver. So the fact that our brains can store incomprehensible amounts of information and do with 20 watts of power what it would take a computer a gigawatt of power to replicate, and yet somehow we still have so many stupid people, is pretty mind-boggling.